Hi guys, Cameraman here. The first part of episode 76 is out, and at first glance, it seemed too mediocre to all viewers, including myself, because in fact, not much happened in it in terms of moving the plot forward. However, upon close review, I found a couple of very interesting and I would say anomalous details that bring out the essence of this episode. For example, did you notice the strange markings on Astro Glitch's head? Or do you know who this character is? And no, I'm not talking about the chair. There's something more interesting on the right. If you remember, even before the release, Dafuk Boom did a poll where they asked viewers if it was better to release the episodes in parts or in their entirety. Since the first option won in that poll, he ended up releasing the first part. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people thought the episode was average. The fact that Dafuk asked for a how-to already hints that he originally planned to release the entirety of the episode in one video. But now we're essentially only seeing half of the whole picture, and it's because of this that we don't understand what its point is. And, as you could guess, with the help of those details I mentioned earlier, we will try to solve this mystery today. Well, before we start, please subscribe to the channel, because statistically only 23% of viewers watch my videos with a subscription. So subscribe and put like so more people can help us reach 500,000 subscribers. Anyway, here we go. The episode starts off pretty epic and big. There's a major battle going on. Among all those huge Skibidi toilets, you can spot a US flag at one of them. And also, considering their appearance and helmets, we can conclude that in human life, these toilets were military. This fact will come in handy for us a little later, so keep that in mind. As the camera pans around, we see a pole with a strange sign. I tried to find out what the logo with the mouth and teeth meant. However, there is no such logo in the real world. I finally decided to find out what TMT stands for, and the most popular answer was 30-meter telescope. Who doesn't know? It's the largest telescope built, and given the constant hints of space, perhaps that's what Dafuk is referencing with this strange sign. But of course it's odd that he decided to add a mouth with teeth here, so I don't rule out that there are other, more likely guesses as to what it means. I look forward to your guesses in the comments. Suddenly, a huge Astro toilet appears, which everyone starts shooting at, and a little later, Skibidi Kamikaze joins in to help. By the way, he's a rather uncharacteristic color for a toilet, namely purple, and the face with the hairstyle reminds me a lot of Superman from the cartoon. After a successful assassination comes another giant. This time it's Astro Destroyer, who utters the phrase, "How dare you assist, traitor scums?" The very beginning of the phrase is very hard to hear, and if you heard a different phrase, let me know, as I'm not too sure. It's odd that this is how the Astro toilets react to the unification of toilets with Alliance, since they themselves pushed for this unification. After all, we clearly saw in episode 75 that they kill everyone absolutely without a trial, and even if in theory a regular Skibidi toilet wanted to unite with Astro toilets, they wouldn't be able to do it. This leads me to believe that the betrayal that the Astros keep talking about isn't limited to G-Man alone. There's something more global at play here that they can't even in their minds forgive. If you want a separate video on this topic, let me know with a like, after which POV Cameraman starts running, and on the right, among other garbage, there is a car, in which I thought there was a person. But after a poll among subscribers, more than half wrote that there is nothing inside. And here we see a huge Skibidi toilet that has one of the guns in its mouth. This is a reference to the last troll leak from Dafuk Boom, where Speakerman Titan's cannon was in G-Man's mouth. But this time around, it is likely that the cannon in question works for its intended purpose and even fires. Let's wish this toilet good luck and hope he's okay and doesn't maim himself with the cannon. As we walk further, a Skibidi soldier stands in front of us. And not just any soldier, but the one from the meme called 1,000-Yard Stare. For those who don't know, I'll briefly explain what this image, which Dafuk Boom was referring to, means. It originally appeared in the context of the military, describing the gaze of soldiers who had experienced severe combat shock or PTSD. Nowadays, however, it is more of a meme and is usually used in a lighter context to describe situations where one feels depressed, overwhelmed, or just completely disconnected from reality due to some mundane reasons. However, In the case of the Skibidi Toilet, we all realize that this cold stare is done to visualize to all viewers all the horror happening in the battlefield after the events of episode 74. Unfortunately, this poor soldier dies from Astro glitch. He already wanted to kill POV Cameraman as well, but luckily he manages to get killed by Skibidi Avery Johnson. Yes, who doesn't know, it's another reference, and this time it's a character from a Halo game. And best of all, it turns out that in the Halo game, this character plays an important role in resisting the alien threat. This could be considered another subtle hint at the cosmic origin of Astro toilets. It is likely that this character has the potential to play an important role, given the fact that he also has a new orange-colored cameraman with him. As we know, experience has shown that all cameramen with brightly colored shirts are special characters for the story. Back in episode 75, we saw a yellow cameraman. Anyway, as I think it's not for nothing that it was after the arrest of the red cameraman that all the colorful ones started appearing so often in the series. I think they have something to do with Secret Agent too. Judging by the reaction of one of the agents, it's been a very short time since episode 75, and the unification process hasn't happened everywhere yet. It takes time for Skibidi Toilets to find common ground with Alliance. And when POV Cameraman turns his head, we notice 3 unusual phenomena at once. The first one you all already know about. It's the famous chair that moves again and mesmerizes us with its mysteriousness. The second thing I want to tell you about is this creature on the right. It is a cylinder shape with a stick. Many of my subscribers have assumed it is a plant or a pole. I, on the other hand, associate it with marshmallows. Dafuk Boom has recently increased the number of moving objects, and now it's not even clear if it's done for fun or if he will later explain what it was. By the way, if we look just above, we see the poor cameraman doing a few somersaults due to the blow he received. Hopefully he survives and lands normally. Now let's talk about another reference that I don't think many people even realize about. There's a wheelchair-bound cameraman among cameramen. Nothing unusual at first glance, but it's actually Dom Studio reference. And you're probably wondering what a wheelchair and Dom Studio have to do with it, but I'll explain for those who don't know. It all started when a character named Kleiner, a wheelchair-bound scientist, appeared in the Skibidi Toilet multiverse. After a while, the popular Russian YouTuber Fordel began to watch this series live, as his subscribers were very much asked to tell his opinion about the new episodes. And of course, in addition to the pluses, he voiced the weaknesses of this multiverse, including poor graphics of the backgrounds, a large number of new, not very well thought out characters, and so on. His subscribers picked up on this, and one of them came up with the gimmick of writing in chat, "Beware, Dom Studio is coming," using a wheelchair emoji. This phrase went so viral that now, as soon as any Russian YouTuber starts talking about or watching any episode from Dom Studio live, the chat room immediately features this phrase from viewers. Taking into account that in episode 74 there was already a reference to Dom Studio, and considering that Dafuk Boom sometimes follows such pranks on the internet, it becomes clear that most likely this is another friendly banter. And if earlier you could still think that this could potentially escalate into some kind of global conflict, then after this shorts from Dom Studio, where Dafuk Boom himself voiced Male07, it becomes clear that these pranks are not made with malice. You'll be surprised, but that's not all. In the same scene, there is a reference to the 64th episode of Skibidi Toilet. That's where we first, though not intentionally, got to see the Skibidi Toilet help the cameraman who tagged him from behind. The same thing happens here, but this time the Skibidi Toilets have really started to become friends with the Alliance. Unfortunately, another Astro glitch causes many agents to die, but our POV cameraman didn't think long and decided to get revenge on the creep. When he manages to break his helmet on his forehead, we immediately notice an inverted triangle with a stripe down the center, and later on the right side of his head, another mark in the form of a crossed-out circle. I inquired about these signs and found this information. Triangles usually symbolize the elements. Fire, turned vertex up; water, turned vertex down; air, turned truncated vertex up; earth, turned truncated vertex down. In our case, this Astro toilet belongs to the earth element. it is logical to assume that flying Astro fighters are air, and how Astro toilets look like, whose elements are fire and water, it is even difficult to imagine. The circle means the planet from which it came. In our case, it is Earth. I think that in the future we will be revealed who of Astro toilets came from other planets with the help of these signs. By the way, the fact that he is from Earth does not mean that he was born here and not come from outer space. In the next video, I'll explain to you what I mean and how this is possible, so subscribe so you don't miss it. After all of this, POV Cameraman manages to steal the gun from Astro Glitch. Despite being hit hard, he manages to survive and do damage, and then he says the phrase "time to die," which coupled with the lightning strikes sounded very intimidating. Another big cameraman comes to the rescue and kills the enemy, and by tradition gives a hand to his friend to help him up. However, a squad of Astro toilets immediately appears from the back, and if it weren't for the portable shield the big cameraman had, we would have turned into fried sausages by now. But that's not the whole threat. A stronger Astro toilet with spider legs easily breaks the shield and is about to make a control strike. At the same moment, Strider Cameraman appears very timely and destroys everyone. He was controlled by Cameraman Scientist all this time. If you remember back at the end of episode 72, he put like the almost killed Strider. Turns out that bark wasn't a goodbye bark. It makes sense because Scientist Cameraman is a scientist who can fix something that's broken. Especially he already had experience controlling a robot since he was in his exoskeleton for a long time. And now I'm off to make another video for you where I'll elaborate on a very cool theory. So subscribe, watch my other videos. Bye.